I had a very frustrating moment in my education. And that is when we were learning about the drama triangle. The drama triangle is the victim, rescuer, persecutor. And we learn this very seductive loop of getting along with family members, our society, anything in our environment. And they become conditions. They become conditions that we learn to live by. And we then base those conditions about how well we're doing. And it sets up how well we'll love ourselves, how well we will let love in or not, how we may set down patterns based on these earlier times and interactions with people. Conditional love, we've all had it. We've all been brought up with it. If you do this, then you get this. And we all feel responsible as children to the health and well-being of our family. So many kids felt responsible for their parents' divorces. This is just, we can't necessarily take ourselves out of that, but it's not true. But this is what gets laid down as a pattern. So these conditions set up our earlier times of how it is that we will ultimately parent ourselves. One of my teachers, Paul Brenner, who's an amazing MD, PhD, psychosocial oncologist, he says, we parent the way we wish we were parented, but we parent the way we were actually parented when we're under stress. And that includes how we parent ourselves. In this time of extreme frustration, as I was learning this drama triangle, as I had gotten into my private practice and I saw, wow, we didn't learn a way off. There was no methodology. There was just this learning of these patterns, but nobody actually was teaching skills off. So in my exclamation to the universe in high frustration, screaming at God, source, creator, universe, whatever you want to call it, I said, what the X is the way off this drama triangle? And very quickly, I was given the answer: learning to let go, having faith and trust, and surrender. What I have found is that this is a formula to unconditional self-love. I'm not saying this is an easy journey, but I'm saying it's the necessary journey for us to take so that we can get off the karmic wheel of our love being, our conditional love being based on somebody else's purview of how we're seen or how it is that we be in the world. And once we can understand that we need to let go, letting go is not acquiescing our power. Letting go is not disempowering ourselves. Learning to let go is being able to see from a higher perspective and see how our high self might be seeing. And also learning to say thank you, having an attitude of gratitude immediately, no matter what's happening in the environment, that we can have the opportunity to say thank you for that event, because immediately that changes the energy. And once we change the energy around it, then we can have a new choice. It ultimately is about choice. Everything comes back to that. And that is the freedom of the emancipated inner child that gets us onto the path for our own unconditional self-love, self-loathing, deservability, separation. It's something we don't need to believe, but it seems to be wrapped into the core human wounds. The core human wounds are not good enough and not lovable. All of us humans here on planet Earth right now are dealing with these two core wounds. And our subconscious selves are actually dealing with something a little deeper, a little beyond that. So you get these combinations that are sort of playing a role into this. And we very much get trapped into this idea that we don't deserve love. The other piece that I teach on this is to learn how to step out of vows, to learn your own values, and to step into virtue. This is a lifetime worth of work. To even realize that we took a vow as kids, I promise I'll be good if you do, this is where the conditions begin. And we almost make these vows that they're ridiculous. And these promises that our value is based on these behaviors. And then we derive our values out of them. But many of our values, until chosen, are related to our parents or our societies. The importance of what I find in the work of looking at vows to values to virtue. Vows are looking at what promises did we make that we either want to keep or we don't want to keep. Even when we get married and we take marriage vows, what I have couples often do is go back on their anniversaries and look at those vows that they made to each other. Do they still make sense? Are these promises that you would make today? Is this a vow you would take today? And if they aren't, go back, make a new contract, keep it updated, because there are things that we outgrow and outmode. Having our personal value structure is a very important piece for knowing where our own 2 feet are, what manages our energy bodies. And that's relating to what are our value systems. What I notice is that when we are not living in accordance to the values that we have chosen, it creates an inner conflict within our mental, emotional bodies. And ultimately, we will not live a life of grace and thriving because of that. That involves some work. Moving into virtue. Virtue has the opportunity for us to take those values where we have put them into practice, and we have derived wisdom out of the experiences from having put those values into practice. They become virtues. So it's not just a matter of, my mom always had a saying, "Oh, Tiffany, when God was handing out patience, you couldn't stand in that line." It's not just, I wasn't very patient. I have learned it now, but patience is a learned skill, and it's allowing for space. And one of the things that I've recently been teaching on is grace, space, and boundaries. When we have all 3 of those pieces, we can see where our values have been playing into our virtuous life and how well are we doing, and let those be the terrain that we start to operate under for our own map, not somebody else's, but our own. Where are we going? I am definitely holding a safe space where self-inquiry can be done. I do not believe that me as so-called healer or person, I'm there to guide and be that safe space. I hold in resonance, divine resonance, that which you already are. And all I'm doing is seeking to mirror that imprint back to the person. Everybody is already in wholeness. We just need to be reminded. This is the beauty of being seen. It's that I'm holding that imprint of what I already know is divinely perfect in the etheric imprint of who we are. That it's just natural that you be returned to wholeness. Do we have some things to work through on occasion? Absolutely. And sometimes it can not require a lot of heavy lifting. Sometimes it can just be easy.